most of the technology during the Civil War. For example, the main advantage of the North was the railroad. The railroad was a big technological innovation. The North had almost all of the nation's track and locomotive factories. Union officials used railroads to move troops and supplies. This gave the North many advantages. It took 2 months to travel by road, but only 7 days by railroad. The railroads revolutionized the speed of troops deployment. Another technological advantage of the North was the telegraph. It only took a minute to send and transcript telegrams. All telegraph faculties were put under military control. Because of the telegraph, Abraham Lincoln was able to communicate with his officers on battlefield. On the other side, the South wasn't as advanced in technology as the North. The South used cannons and muskets. They had a small army, and because of that, they wanted to avoid major battles.
10-second trivia. What percentage of the population of the United States died in the U.S. Civil War? A, 2%, B, 5%, C, 14%, or D, 36%? The answer is A, 2%.
10 out of 10.
Firing a muzzle-loading cannon required the combined efforts of at least 5 men working in unison. Each man of the crew was given a number, and he would do his task by the numbers. After a gun was fired, the number 3 men stepped forward to clean the vent and then close it with his thumb, which was protected from heat by a leather thumb stall. The number 2 men then wormed out any large debris left in the barrel from the previous shot. Note that he did not use his thumbs to grip the tool. If residual gunpowder should explode, this grip allowed the shaft to be blown safely through his fingers. Meanwhile, the number 1 man would wet the sponge and spin out the excess water before cleaning the barrel of any glowing embers from the previous shot. This was a critical safety step. Number 2 would then step forward with a dry sponge to remove any water from the tube. All the while, number 3 kept his thumb on the vent. While the sponging progressed, the number 6 man prepared the next round and then loaded it in a special leather pouch carried by number 5. On the command load, number 5 moved forward to the sergeant, who checked that the round was correct. From there, number 5 went to the muzzle, where he shielded the round with his body from enemy rifle fire. Number 2 would take the round and carefully load it into the barrel. Number 1 then stepped up to ram the round down the tube. He would push it gently home first, then give it a sharp tap to seat it properly. Seating the round in the breech had to be done with extreme care. The sergeant then moved in to aim the piece. He would signal number 3, who would move the trails left or right using a handspike. The sergeant adjusted the elevation by himself. With the gun aimed, the sergeant ordered prepare. Number 3 would prick the powder before taking the friction primer and lanyard from number 4. The friction primer sent sparks into the gunpowder when the lanyard was pulled. Number 1 and number 2 assumed a lean-back pose and covered one ear. This was deliberate to protect them from the muzzle blast. When the sergeant yelled fire, number 4 pulled the lanyard and another shell went flying to the enemy.
In conclusion, the Norse technological advances gave them the upper hand that led them to their victory against the South.